Hello and welcome everybody to another heroic dungeon speedrun breakdown. My name is Duranasaur and I'm getting to break down another head-to-head heroic speedrun analysis here. These two runs were again taken from our Dungeon Cleave Cup number 1. More information on that competition and what we are, dungeoncleave.com, will be in the description below. But we recently had a competition that involved teams racing through all of the Coilfang dungeons, and I did a previous video on the Underbog runs from the two fastest teams, and today I'm going to do one on the Steamvaults runs. So we're going to be able to watch the two fastest Steamvault runs back to back. I am going to adjust a little bit here so that you don't have to stare at my ugly mug the entire time. But I just want to thank you guys for watching and remind you to check out dungeoncleave.com. With that, I will get these runs both started here. So again, we're going to have, on the top part of the screen, we're going to have Team Stealth Filet. And then on the bottom half of the screen, we have Team Mad Speed. So both these teams are gearing up to get going here. They should be synced up so that both runs start at roughly the exact same time. So Stealth Filet, again, the team on the top, they are an all stealth team. But because of our requirements for this competition, they still had to pull and kill this first pack. It's just something that we wanted to do to make sure that every team started on an equal playing field, started their timer at the same time. So that kind of equalizes it a little bit with the stealth teams, but obviously they're still able to skip almost all the trash as you are seeing them do right now. At the same time, Mad Speed, which is the team down in the bottom, they are gearing up to do a little bit of a skip of their own. So they are getting ready here. As you can see, they're kind of waiting on this patrol. It is marked with a square. Once they're mind-soothing both of those mobs, just to give a little bit extra wiggle room. That's why they're not pulling them quite yet. And now the hunter is sending in his pet, and I believe his pet is both power word shielded and has got a bunch of other defensive buffs up. I think it's running in and it's trying to pull both of those Boglords. It does successfully pull both those Boglords, but it dies in the same time. So now the hunter is moving away to be able to pull these Boglords aside. While that's happening, his team is rushing through. Right before they get to him, he feigns. The Boglords go to reset. You'll see that one is running the long way around, which is kind of spooky. But his team was able to successfully get through there. So I think we'll see here in a couple seconds that Warlock will toss this hunter a summon. So he'll be all caught up. At the same time, the stealth crew doing what we assumed they would. They stealth all the way to the first boss, and they are just now killing the trash pack before the first boss. So this is the Coilfang Warrior and the two Sirens. So they're pulling this. It makes sense to do. This pack is very scary. It's very close to the boss. Because of this boss's mechanics with the Hurricane, it's typically a good idea to pull this, even if you are trying to skip most of the trash, just because when you're spreading out to try to get out of that Hurricane, there's a chance you could body pull them. So they're pulling those now. With the Mad Speed run, the more conventional group, they did have a skip planned here. I think before they pulled this group, they had actually been throwing out Mind Soothes, and I think they might have gotten a Mind Soothe resist. So they were planning on skipping that pack that they just killed there on the left. We're going to see them skip this two Myrmidons right here, also using Mind Soothe, and they're going to be able to skip most of this trash. So the stealth group now working on the boss. They don't have any Warlock, they don't really have any CC, so they're having to kill both the ads before killing the boss. And because they're a stealth group, they are not the most efficient boss kill squad. So this boss is taking them a bit longer. It's actually giving the more conventional group, Mad Speed, an opportunity to catch up here. They are again waiting on another patrol. So some rough RNG with the patrols to start out their run. Just having that clock time tick down on them. As they're running up here, they're again trying to use a Mind Soothe pull, but I think what happens here is they have the priest accidentally falls off, the hunter also falls off, and I think they kind of assumed that the pet would end up pulling that trash. Somehow it doesn't. Somehow the pet's fine. And then the hunter here opts to pull his pet back which does end up pulling trash. I think the hunter just decides to sack the pet and then run away from his party, feigns death, resets it. Just some unfortunate things going on with the Mad Speed's run here, pulling extra trash packs, having a hard time accomplishing their skips. But they're still able to stay out of combat here. They're still actually able to skip all the packs that they were trying to skip. Meanwhile, the stealth crew, they've got the first boss down and they are headed through the canals. So if you are not familiar with Steamvaults as a dungeon, there are these sort of below ground canals that actually kind of connect from that water near the first boss all the way over to the second boss, the gnomish mech boss. So they're actually swimming through the water right now, trying to get there. They didn't bring any water walking potions, which I think would have been an awesome way for them to save some time. We will see Mad Speed once they get down there, whether or not they have any of those potions. Mad Speed right now fighting that first boss. Finally, they're able to get the banish off on the extra ads, so they actually only have to kill one of the ads. They opted to skip that trash pull, which we can see right now, which means that they are sort of all pushed into this corner, which is fine until an unfortunate storm ends up going off. We'll wait and see. So there's a storm going off right now. It is, I think, in an okay spot for them. The Ranger are able to get out of it. They're able to pull the boss out of it. So they're still able to just focus this boss down, push it down. DPS is probably a bit higher than that stealth run. That stealth crew, they have come up. They are moving towards the mech boss. We'll see if they end up having to pull these packs of little gnomish dudes. I'm pretty sure there might be a way for them to actually do the boss without pulling those packs. But you can see here they're actually going off to the side and they're getting ready and they are going to pull those. Not a lot of AoE in this group with the 3 rogues and the 2 druids. So these packs are not friendly to them. They are going to be one of the areas where I guess they're probably going to lose a little bit of time, especially compared to the more conventional Mad Speed crew. So Mad Speed, now you can see they are down in the canals. They do have water walking potions, and they have that hunter, so aspect of the pack. So they're actually going to move through this canal portion of it way, way, way faster than the stealth crew did. So they had all of their rogues swimming at normal swim speed, which is just a terrible way to try to get around this dungeon. But there's the stealth crew still working on those gnomes, taking a little bit of time here, giving an opportunity for Mad Speed to close the gap here on them. So Mad Speed now coming up in the little sort of entryway between the main area of the dungeon and the gnomish area of the dungeon, using the mind soothes here. Don't actually have to pull any trash packs coming up through there between the slaves and the Naga. They're able to just mind soothe and walk right past them. Meanwhile, the stealth Filet crew, they've engaged the boss, trying their best to actually keep all the ads stacked up, hopefully using blade flurries and other things to be able to get the ads down while still putting out some damage on that boss. He is going down, albeit slower probably than what we will see here shortly. The more conventional team, Mad Speed, they're actually pulling, I think, both of those gnomish packs together. They have a mage, they have a warlock, they're spamming seed, they're using blizzards for control, they're just annihilating those trash packs and then heading straight into the boss. So at this point, they are very close behind. Stealth Filet just killed the boss. They have the boss down to about 90% at the same time. So this is where things are getting a bit closer. So if you can imagine, Mad Speed, had they not had those unfortunate patrols with the trash packs, if they hadn't had to reset and try some skips over again, if they hadn't pulled some extra packs and had to kill them accidentally, they would probably be in a solid lead position right now. Stealth Filet now moving back out towards the main central pathway in the dungeon, heading towards that final boss. This is we're gonna see here, and you guys may have noticed this if you were watching their screen, whether or not they activated the controls to open that final door. We kind of take for granted whether or not the teams would get that done. At the same time, Mad Speed, we're looking at them. and it's, you know, do we see if anyone from their team has done the same? So this is sort of like an awful make or break situation that's gonna potentially come back to haunt these teams. Stealth Filet, you can see Keck Filet, he's reacting already. I think he knows the door is not open. I think at this point they have already sent someone back to open the door up. He's literally face palming as he realizes the mistake that they've made. The bear actually comes out of stealth, and you can see Keck starts screaming at him because he knows that as soon as this door opens, a pack of mobs is going to appear. So if one of them were to be out of stealth when that pack spawned, that would be a very, very awful way to end up pulling that trash. Meanwhile, Mad Speed, they have moved through here. They had to kill some of the trash in order to get to this more central area heading towards the final boss. We're going to see if they have to kill much more throughout the rest of this dungeon. You can see the stealth crew. They are moving up through. They're using saps like they did in Underbog just to help skip some of these packs. They're just gliding through here, actually attempting to skip all of the trash leading up to this final boss. At the same time, Mad Speed. So they actually just had their mage pull that pack on the far side of the bridge and the pack over in front of the door and then jump down into the canal. So you've got 2 packs of mobs that are currently chasing after the mage. The rest of the party, I believe, is out of combat, and they are going to be running straight up here and using aspect of the pack. They are sticking close together, moving extremely fast. And let's see here, he's bouncing over, and they're going to use invis pots here. So they're going to be sprinting, using invisibility to the back of the room here. Meanwhile, the mage, it looks like, is either still kiting those mobs, or I assume has already popped invis to drop combat with them. And once the crew gets back here, they get a quick summon off on that mage, and they are going to be ready to fight the final boss. At the same time, Stealth Filet already fighting that final boss. They were able to just walk right by all those mobs, doing what we all knew a stealth crew would do, which is just to completely skip all of the relevancy of trash within these dungeons. You love it or you hate it. That's what they're able to do. It gives them an edge, but they also, as you can see, are not that far ahead. So they're both DPSing the boss down now at the exact same time. The stealth crew, not an optimum comp. The DPS, it looks like the rogues probably saved all their cooldowns specifically for this fight, or at least they were back up because this boss is melting for them. At the same time, the boss is going down very, very quickly for Mad Speed. They've got the Hunter, they've got the Warlock and the Mage. They've got like an actual real group composition. So they're able to slam this boss with damage, with their cooldowns, with everything. Though that Magic Reflect comes up, and that is going to slow them down quite a bit because they do have the Warlock and the Mage. Just enough so that Stealth Filet can eke out the win. It looks like their final time ends up being about 11:45, while the Mad Speed group, they've just moved over the 12-minute mark. They've got about 10% left on the boss here, and if they can get it down, and another Magic Reflect Shield, just icing on the cake there at the end, but they are finally able to get it down at about 12:17, so right around 32 seconds slower, which is a bit unfortunate here. It's very, very close between these two teams, incredibly close. Super exciting. There were hiccups on both sides. The stealth crew, they forgot to hit one of the levers to open the final boss door, but at the same time, the Mad Speed crew, they accidentally pulled some trash they didn't mean to. They had to fight and kill one of those packs. They had to reset other packs. So both teams had things that they could have done better. And another thing to note, and that I think is relevant, we think is relevant, is that when you look at their times, so they had an 11:45 and a 12:17. Those are both top 10 times in the world for Steamvaults. But because of the way Warcraft Logs looks at speed runs or takes logs in, most of the runs on there, whether teams decide to omit the information or whether they just don't pull any trash until that first boss, most of their runs don't start either until they pull the first boss or until the pack before the first boss. Now, we required them to pull the trash at the very start of the dungeon, So if you actually start their times at that first boss or at that pack before the first boss, both of these runs end up being top 5 runs in the world. So just some important different metrics. We like to see the entire dungeon. We're working on the rules and restrictions to try to make that happen. We're talking in our Discord about trash requirements, about other things. We invite all of you to come and engage with us in that conversation. Give us your opinions on what should and should not be allowed. If you think the stealth runs are ridiculous, come and tell us, because we want this to be a very community-focused organization, and we want our rules and restrictions to reflect that. So please come join us, dungeoncleave.com. We have a link to our Discord there. I'll have a link to all this stuff down in the channel below, in the description below. And if you like this, check out the Underbog run that I did, and wait and see the Slave Pen run that I'm going to do as the final run from the Dungeon Cleave Cup that we did here. It's also going to feature these 2 teams, as they were the fastest 2 teams across all 3 dungeons. So thank you for watching this. If you enjoyed it, consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button. I appreciate you guys for watching, and as always, happy hunting. See you guys.